one single person can start a new activity. That is solopreneurship. A simple person can start a small business or doing something. I have seen in a train, railway station, railway journey, that one boy was having a hot water bucket behind him, and he has a two pouches. One is for coffee, one is for tea, and then another pouch was there for what they call some soup. So he provides soup, he provides tea, he provides coffee, and a single man taking everything on the back of his back. So that is solopreneurship possible, that individual can start his own business. Yeah.
Professor, one second. Yeah. Solopreneur may be a new term they are using, but sole proprietorship is something very traditional, right? Sole proprietorship is very traditional. Maybe the term used is it sounds new, but sole proprietorship is a very traditional method of doing business.
When you talk about sole proprietorship, it talks about the single person investing money.
Okay.
Primarily that. But here, the single person not only investing money, but carrying out all the business himself, not taking any support of other team and so on and so forth. But when we come to now, we have another very interesting example of entrepreneurship is known as intrapreneurship. You are within the organization, you can be entrepreneur. You don't have to take the whole organization, separate organization to become entrepreneur. Every individual within the organization can be entrepreneur. Let me give an example. We are in the university system, and in the university system, if I have to start some new venture, then I have to take permission from the organization, so on and so forth. And then we have to set up an entrepreneurship unit there within the university. It is possible. But if an individual is taking initiative and starting something new for the university, then it is known as intrapreneurship. So the organization, individual is establishing a new enterprises outside the formal organization is known as entrepreneurship. But a person is taking initiative and establishing a new venture within the organization, formal organization, that is known as entrepreneurship. Let me give an example. I was in Devi Ahilya University in Indore. I was in state inter-university where all the decision to start something new is to be taken by the university. But I applied to my vice chancellor that I want to start some innovative programs. I want to start some vocational programs, and I want to set up a unit. And I don't need any investment from the university. I'll invest myself, and I'll take the risk also. And if university allows, I'll pay them 30% of rebate to the university for all the profit which is coming. University allowed me to start my own venture within the university. And I did. And at the end of 4 years, I gave 5 crore rupees to the university. So that is, there is something like entrepreneurship. So this is allowing people within the organization to take risks and establish something new, which is beneficial for the organization. So that is promoting entrepreneurship within the organization and providing them permissible climate to start something new.
The objectives of the research. The first objective was to achieve a better understanding about green products and to analyze the issues related to it. So before even starting with the research, as I said, the major intention was to understand how green products work in the market and how their sales and what makes people buy these green products or what makes them reject these green products. To empirically examine the perception of the consumer on green products. So the empirical examination is given in detail in the report, and all the empirical data was derived statistically from SPSS. To analyze the willingness of the consumers to purchase a green product among members of all age groups. So members of all age groups. We thought of targeting millennials in Bangalore, but the major age group was above 41 years old. Yeah, people living in Bangalore above the age 41. Our findings. The majority of the respondents, whoever answered a questionnaire or whoever were involved in the research, were aged above 41. The ease of adjustment with the products is the vital factor for most of the respondents. So we had a question in the questionnaire wherein we asked the people what they were looking for when they bought a green product. Was it the style? Was it the name that they got, that they are environmentalists, or was it just following everything for legal measures? So the option that was highest voted for was the ease of adjustment for them. For example, a simple organic reusable cloth bag is not waterproof, wherein if you get a plastic bag, it's waterproof and it's even more handy. That's just an easy example for the point. Consumers pay more attention to perishability at time of purchase. This acts as a major point when it comes to buying organic products, as we know how plastic lives for long and organic products don't. Varied approaches towards purchasing green products. This is the same point here, explaining why people actually buy the green products. It may be for maintaining legal measures. It may be for being trendy. It may be for justice. It may be just a status symbol. Suggestions and recommendations for future research. A larger sample from a non-metropolitan city could provide different results. So here, the city that was chosen was Bangalore, and all age groups were not included in the research. So a research with a bigger area covered and a research with many more age groups included will give varied results. Future research can focus on selecting respondents from cities where awareness about green products and services is low. Bangalore, now evolving and being one of the biggest cities in India, already has a huge age group of a huge population of millennials, and millennials are now seen to be more environmentally responsible, wherein there are a few illiterate population sides of the same city or varied cities in India who actually do not take social responsibility or any kind of environmental friendly activities seriously. So when those cities and third tier cities are taken into consideration, the results will be pretty accurate, and it will be more useful for the companies to use it for their schemes.
All of us know the term, what is disruptive innovation. Okay, it has created a kind of a drastic revolution in the entire economy of the world. Okay, it has initiated a new policy, a new norm, a new way of initiating work culture and so on. Actually, it is now Ubering the whole supply chain of connectivity. Okay, whether it is a small business or big venture, or it is Ubering the whole supply chain of connectivity. Okay, it has shaped a new platform of work culture. Okay, that is what I can understand from disruptive innovation. Also, there is also another concept called gig economy. Okay, what is gig economy? Okay, people have come up with their own ways of working at home. They're able to think differently. They're able to work flexibly, maybe saving time, resources, and they're able to exploit all the time and resources that is possible, the gig economy. Okay. Also, it's a time of boomerang. Boomerang. That is, whatever we have learned, whatever we have practiced, we are able to put into action now. That is blend of technology, also the digital skills that are arising in this new scenario. And as a result, we have new forms of works. And also now, TCS company has announced that it is going to employees, all the employees by 2020-25, 70% of the workforce will be working from home. Okay, a kind of a new work culture, working from home. So there's also going to be a balance between work, life, and the culture, and so on. So what could be the outcome of this digital entrepreneurship? Okay, we have only heard of entrepreneurship. Now, this new COVID-19 has created a new platform, a new a job portal called digital entrepreneurship. Any entrepreneur who is able to start a small business venture in the online, in the digital platform, can be called as digital entrepreneur. Okay, that can be understood like that. So the digital entrepreneur is the one who can start any venture, any startup, any small scale industry using the ICT technology, using the internet technology, and using all the interconnectivity, whatever platform that it is using. So he can be called a digital entrepreneur. Of course, today companies, they also want to set an effective digital strategies. Okay, there are 4 key benchmarks that I want to share with you now. Okay, it's a kind of a vicious circle. Every entrepreneur or every entrepreneurship, will always aim at setting the goal. What will be the first goal of my company, of my business, of my venture? If the goal is very clear, then it is very easy for them to set up all the other wanted tools and technologies. The process will be very clear. So once the goal is clear, they'll also will identify the digital tools that are needed. Today, with this internet technology, rising of new digital platform has created number of avenues to get connected. The third element could be initiatives. There are a lot of things that are emerging in this digital era. Which one I choose? Which is my first preference? Okay, we need to prioritize our initiatives. So that could become our prioritizing our initiatives could become third element. And when you combine all these things together, you're able to achieve your desired results. Okay, you're able to achieve your desired results. And what are the other main features of this digital company? One element could be the digital marketing activities. Today, if we want to survive in this gig economy, digital economy, marketing plays a very vital role. Okay, so we need to concentrate also marketing activities that leads to digital selling, which is we can also, I'll see in the later slides, I'll tell you. It has also got a process which is also digitalized. Okay, then digital nature of selling goods and services.
Women face different levels of stress based on three factors. So the stress factors are income during the lockdown. So many people do not getting income. So this brings a lot of stress among the women. The next factor is the responsibilities in home added with the work from home. So the responsibilities are more because everyone is in home. The children are in home. Children are at home. So the woman has to take care of her family. Has more work at the home, and also she has to work from home for their institution or her employer. So the third factor is business or economic pressures. For the women, the business women, they have economic pressures, business pressures, that is economic pressures and post-COVID scenario of their business. They have to take care of that. So that gives a stress to the business women. So based on the three factors, women are affected differently. The government schemes were not useful for them during this lockdown. Government has provided, announced various schemes. Various schemes are in practice, but those are all not useful for them during this lockdown. So women prefer to buy food items and medicines more during the lockdown, but they do not get, they are not able to get them at a fair price. Conclusion of my study: the source of income of majority of respondents is savings. Savings, so income from other persons of family also supported up to an extent, but the saving habit, the savings have helped women, helped the families during this lockdown a lot. The next, hearing music and watching old movies. It plays a major role in overcoming the stress during the lockdown. Many people, many women felt the hearing music is a stress buster. Hearing music helps a lot to overcome the stress during this, specifically during this lockdown time. Majority of women felt this lockdown provided a good time to spend with family. Even though they feel stressed and they have more work and difficulties, they have economic problems, anything, they felt at a precious time to spend with family. The research has discovered that the stress level among the 4 categories of women are completely different. That is, for the homemakers, for the business women, for the women who work from home, working women who do not work from home. Among the 4 category of women, the stress level is completely different. The impact of stress, the impact of lockdown, the causes of stress and its effects and everything at all is different. Thank you.
Finally, I would like to propose a system that which really connects both the institute and the industry, which I have experienced after looking into the present scenario and the global scenario. I would like to present German dual system, which is more efficient and effective in the young minds. That is, dual system. They learn while they study and they study while they learn. That is, both institute and the industry, the place of learning and the place of experimenting should go hand in hand. That means they will be studying the lessons, the basics, and then they will be going to the industry to the experiment, either continuously for a week or a month or 3 months period, and they come back to learn the advanced technology. Again, they enter into the industry. So by then, they will not have fear, more knowledge, what they study, they apply. So it is not a contradictory towards theory and the practical, but rather the theory enhances their skills when they go to the industry itself. So dear friends, the dual system of learning, the avenues, the places itself, 2. One is the school where they have enrolled. The other one is the industry. This is a place where the aim of the education will be accomplished. All the theoretical knowledge inculcated within the students will be implemented at the industry. The students will have directly engaged themselves with the mission and the learning, the operations itself. And the thing that is involved is 2 statuses of the students. One is a student, the other one is apprentice. The young generation involved in this education system will play a dual role. Each role will be decided depending upon the venue they are in. When they are in the institute, they take up the student role. When they will be in the classroom listening to the lectures of the teachers, when they go to the industries, actually as an apprenticeship, as they will be involved in the production process of the industry along with the workers. And 2 types of teachers are there. One is the practice teachers at the companies, theory teachers at the institute. The teachers of 2 kinds of this education system, students will have to face them depending upon the venues. Teachers involved in inculcating the theoretical concepts within the students will be present in the institutes. Teachers responsible for the development of the technical and practical skills of the students will be present in the industry. They are also known as instructors. And the public responsibility of the vocational training itself. This kind of responsibility must be maintained in the vocational training, as the students of the technical institutes at present will become the future industrial workers. They also become sometimes the entrepreneurs. So, conclusion, having seen all the attributes of the present and the German dual system of framework, it has been various favorable advantages that is in German dual system. One of the significant points of the interest of this framework is that it's helped both the apprenticeship and the organization is that the students might be utilized as a completely qualified, talented specialist after finishing their apprenticeship training or the institute skill training. The apprenticeship or the dual system is exceptionally pursued worldwide because of its blend of hypothesis and practice, which is very well material, in actuality, more place. In India, the down to the earth measurement of the professionals instructions would be preparing is generally, which is absent. Thus, the duality guidance ought to be made required in India. German system would really make us to keep forward, march forward our students into better professional, not with a certificate, but with a quality in their learning. Is it okay, ma'am?
Yes, Father, it was really useful.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I have a question regarding what you were saying regarding the Chinese products. As we know, after the attack on Ladakh, the eastern Ladakh, Indians are throwing away TV sets from balconies and taunting the Chinese president. So everyone's planning on boycotting the Chinese products. But do you think that will be feasible for Indians in such a situation, in the coronavirus
very
situation?
nice question. See, nothing happens in overnight. See, even if we want to equip ourselves, see, I have been associated with industry for quite some time, and I've seen that majorly the industry is importing raw material from China. It
Yes,
cannot
ma'am.
happen overnight. See, everything needs the time for creating one's own thing. So it has to be at a slow pace but steady pace. The thing is, first one has to have an idea. Once that idea came, like for example, that PPE kit, if you see, what happened with PPE kits? We were not making any PPE kits, no masks we were making. But once that idea came, we started doing. Similarly, in all the organizations, to compete with the pricing of China and the efficiency of China, we need some time. So it has to be, we can regress, but slowly. We can replace our product with indigenous suppliers, but it cannot happen overnight. This is my answer.
Yes, ma'am.
You
Thank
agree?
you so much.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
So, in innovation also, see, it is not certain that whatever you are innovating is going to work. I've been associated with one cycle company. Now, they did lot of R&D and they were able to make a cycle which can be folded. So they targeted, but they didn't find the market. So it's not that every innovation is going to work. But same times you cannot stop innovation because whether it is going to work or not. Like if you know the story of Xerox, this gentleman was knocking the door of companies for 9 full years. Then one of the company, Xerox company, took his photocopying thing. So one has to have patience, one has to have perseverance, and then never stop getting stopped kind of spirit. Like if I give an example of Dr. Abdul Kalam, what he did, he initially he failed in making missiles. He was rebuked for it. His initial missiles didn't work, they were burnt. But later on, he became the missile man of India. Then he used certain material which was used in missiles to make prosthetics because it was hard, strong, and light in weight. So innovation can happen anywhere. The thing is, one need to have that kind of mindset. Now, and I think we Indians are very good at innovation when we come to it. If we see whether it is Chandrayaan or if you see the ISRO, we are doing things in a frugal manner. What people do in lot double, triple, even many times in many times of pricing, we are doing in a very cheap manner. And for that matter, we are known for jugaad management. Now it has become a science of study in foreign countries, that what is jugaad management, how we are able to do such everything frugally. So that brains we have. What happened that because of certain cultural thing which we were colony, we were slaves, so that innovative spirit has died. So this is again we need to rekindle that spirit. If you go through your history, earlier we were quite innovative and advanced, but somewhere we lost. So that has to be rekindled, and in organizational context, it has to be framed in such a manner that from top management to grassroots, everybody is contributing in innovation, because ideas can come to anybody, anytime.
Yes,
Any questions so far?
there's a very famous book called Jugaad Innovation, a frugal and flexible approach. I've read about that, and I've even gone across this incident that took place in Japan, where there was a deep excavation sort of a thing. I think it was due to an earthquake that took place, and within 4 days they had replaced the entire road. And that is a very extensive task to do in the matter of 4 days, but they had planned their strategies accordingly. And I think that is something India can learn from.
Yeah. So in fact, I wanted to show one machinery which was made out of scrap. Let me see if I can do it. This is again a frugal management thing. One of the supervisors of one forging company. I am trying to show it on laptop. If I can, let me see.
You can share, ma'am. I have permitted that. You can share it. Screen share is possible. Yes.
Now see, this is the sanitizing machine, which is made out of scrap. Now a person will come and is going to. Could you see it?
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
This is made out of scrap. They're made with no extra cost. This is operated by foot.